Hey, Lara here. We're going to do another chair yoga video here. So we'll start in our chair of your choice. Feet and knees as close together as you can. If you feel any pain, then you have the option of separating the feet as much as is needed. We're going to start with working on our toes a little bit here. And this is tricky at first, but I guarantee if you keep working on it, it will get easier and easier in time. Starting by lifting all your toes and lowering all your toes. Toes lifting, toes lowering. Think about lifting up the chest, taking the shoulders a little bit back, and drawing your abdomen in and up. And don't worry about how much your toes move. Simply do your best to move them as much as possible. And if you do feel pain, then you can reduce the amount of movement you're creating with your feet. Good. Now keeping all the toes up for a few breaths. See if you can bring your big toe maybe a little closer to the floor without touching the floor. If you get a foot cramp, take a little rest. Good. Now bring all the toes to the ground and try to fan them. Try to spread them as wide as you can. Now lift the heels away from the ground. Try not to let your heels go in or out, but try to keep those heels lined up with your knees. Going straight up and straight down with the heels. Concentrating on deep, full breaths, never forcing or straining the breath. Good. And the next time you lift your heels, try to lift them up and hold them up. See if you can lengthen the spine slightly more so. And then if this is a good amount of stretch, stay here. If you want a little bit more, try to lift and lower your toes with your heels up. And this can be really tricky at first, but again, it's worth the effort. And even if you're trying to lift your toes and they don't physically lift, but you're making the effort, you're still going to be gaining a lot of muscle and beyond that, even more importantly, body awareness. So you'll be able to create more dense pathways in the nervous system from the brain, your somatosensory cortex, and all the sensory neurons in your feet, which tends to create more dense musculature and more strength and flexibility over time in your tissues. All right, now bring those toes to the floor, bring those heels to the floor, and this time we're going to lift the soles of the feet and lower the soles of the feet. Lift them and lower them. And if you want it to be a little trickier, you can try to keep all your toes from touching the floor. It's really helpful when you're practicing yoga to keep your gaze fixed on one spot. And this can be difficult at first, as are many things, but it's worth it. And over time, your ability to concentrate on whatever you choose to concentrate on will become stronger. And that's really the purpose of yoga, is to increase our ability to concentrate. Good. Now bring those feet to the floor, but see if you can keep the toes away from the floor. And we'll do one more toe exercise. Try to tap just your big toes on the floor. See if you can keep all the other toes from touching the ground. And remember, if you're needing more difficulty, you can always do the entire movement with the feet and knees together, with the option of taking them wider if you needed less difficulty or less sensation of stretch, less effort. Good, now see if you can push your big toes to the floor to lift all the other toes and spread them. And I resist the urge to look at my feet. Chances are if you look at your feet, it'll be a little bit more difficult. Good, and lift all the toes. See if you can tap all the toes except the big toe this time. And again, it's not easy, but it's worth the energy, worth the effort. You'll never regret working on your feet. Increases our ability to balance, which is so important as we age. Or if we're dealing with mobility, concerns of any kind, or chronic pain. The more you can move your tissue, especially the feet, the less likely it is that you'll be experiencing pain. Good. And again, don't worry about whether your toes listen to you or not. Simply do what you can. Next thing you know, you'll do what you never thought you could. Now see if you can push all the toes to the floor, except the big toes. Keep the big toes away from the ground if possible. Good, and then relaxing those toes. Lengthening once more with the spine, and work with our hips a little bit. You can take your right leg out and in, and the left leg out and in. And there are a lot of ways to vary this movement. If we need it to be mild or less sensation, we can slide our foot along the ground, going back and forth. And if it's tricky, if you've got a sticky floor or a carpet or something, you can always put a sock under your foot or something soft under your foot. Works really well if you're on a hardwood floor. If you're needing more, then you lift your thigh incrementally higher, your foot incrementally higher. The more you're lifting, the more you're going to find this challenging. And you're thinking abdomen lifting, spine lengthening as you move from side to side. If you want a bit more in terms of work on the feet, you can have all your toes lifted. But it's good to do it both ways. It's good to do it with the toes pressing to the floor as well as lifting them. Variation is so good for our bodies. And as you want more, you can lift the knees higher and higher, trying to pull it towards the abdomen without straining. And if you start to pull the thigh closer to you and you start to round your back, more important to do less with the leg and more with the spine in this case. It's better to keep a long spine. This will create more strength in your postural muscles, and all the muscles that are required for locomotion as well. Let's see if we can do 3 more with each leg. Any version that works for you. And be mindful that different days, your body will feel different. Don't expect your body to feel exactly the way it did yesterday. Work with where you are on each given day. Good. Now from here, we're going to do a little bit of spinal waves, or sometimes we call them cat-cow curls when we're on the hands and knees. Separating the feet by as wide as your hips. Now if you were to feel back pain doing this series, you could take your feet further apart. This will be mild or stretch. If you needed more, felt really good, you could have your legs together, and then you'd want to squeeze the legs together pretty firmly. Unless you felt too much, then a little bit of squeezing would be sufficient. Either way, hands slide forward, try to round your back and tuck your chin, squeezing knees with fingers, drawing the abdomen toward the lower back. Then hands slide towards you, chest lifts, belly lifts. We're reaching the shoulders a bit back, the elbows hug towards the body as we look up slightly. You don't want to throw your head back all the way. You're simply lifting your chin as much as feels comfortable, and then imagining those collarbones could broaden. Again, we go forward, hands reaching for the knees, rounding them back, tucking the chin. Hands slide back towards the thigh or the waist, chest lifting, belly lifting, shoulders reaching back, elbows hug toward the body. And continuing slowly. And if you want to make more movement here, you want more sensation of stretch, you can reach toward your knee, your shin, maybe even your ankle or your toes. It's very much up to you what feels good here. And you can look forward and lift your chest a bit if you want, but this will be more of a stretch for the chest and the neck. Or you can look forward or down a little bit more. The more you tuck your chin, the milder it is on the neck. When you're ready to come up, you move slowly, gradually, coming all the way up, shoulders rooting back, chest lifting. And you can always hold on to the edges of the chair and take your shoulders a little further back if you're needing more. It's up to you. Hands are continuing to go forward towards the knees, shins, etc. Then you slide up as slow as feels good. Little by little, working your way up, taking the shoulders back, the chest up. Good, let's do about 3 more. Reaching forward, spine rounding, chin tucking. Going to the knees or beyond. Coming up very slow, shoulders going back, chest lifting, abdomen lifting, legs squeezing if they're together. Going forward, reaching for knees, shins, ankles, toes, maybe even a little bit past the toes. Who knows? You never know. Coming back up as slow as you can, little by little, shoulders going back, looking up. Let's go for 1 more, reaching forward, going for knees, shins, ankles, shoes, toes, whatever you can manage without pain. When you're ready to come up, pushing into those feet, lifting the abdomen, and eventually lengthening that spine 1 more time. Very good. And relaxing the spine. We're going to do another exercise for the shoulders. Well, I haven't really looked at the shoulders much, so we'll definitely look at them now. So for this one, fingertips touch your shoulders and you're squeezing your shoulders as though they were a ripe grapefruit. You're trying to check if they're ripe enough. And then some circles going forward. You have options with your legs. You can always choose to separate the legs for less work or squeeze them together for more. Try to go for the largest circle you can manage without any pain. Try to keep your jaw, your neck, your face free of tension. Relaxing the face here is so useful. It might not seem like much, but it makes a huge difference in terms of how efficiently we can stretch the shoulders. The body does not respond to tension well. If tension is happening when we're working on a posture, working on a movement, chances are we'll start to feel a bit of pulling or tugging in that area. So it's good to be easy on those joints. Only do as much as feels good. Let's go backwards now. And when it comes to the face and the neck, they're very sensation-rich areas as well. When we relax them often, we'll be able to relax some of the smaller muscles of the shoulders that are overworking. Especially at the base of the neck, we've got the trapezius muscle here, and it often is a little bit greedy. It likes to do all the work, especially when we're reaching our arms overhead, or we're lifting something, or if we were to bear any weight on our hands. Often that trapezius muscle will do more work than we want it to. So thinking about relaxing the neck and the jaw makes a really big difference. Abdomen lifting, legs squeezing, and certainly pushing into the feet if we can. And the elbows don't need to touch. They simply touch if available. And if they don't quite touch, perhaps they're a little bit more like this, then you think about squeezing them together as though you had a little tennis ball or something between them that you were trying to crush. All right, and then elbows with shoulders, bring the elbows together, bring the elbows apart. Try to keep the elbows as high as your shoulders. But should you feel pain or too much of a stretch, you can bring those elbows lower. That's okay. You can also bring your hands farther away from the shoulders. I meant to say this earlier, but you can do all of these circles with the hands farther away as well, and this will reduce what you feel quite a bit. There's always a way. Now take those elbows wide, bring the elbows towards the ribs, bring the elbows towards your ears. And remember, you can rest at any time. Just because I keep going doesn't mean you have to. You can work up to doing the whole series eventually. And if today feels like a strong day, go for it. Do the whole thing. Or pause and come back to it. Whatever suits you on each day. Good. And then from here, rest your hands, deep breath, lift the shoulders. And then rest the palms facing up. If you'd like more stretch in your neck, then you have options. You can take the hands behind you, and you can hold a fist with the wrist. And I'll show you what that looks like from behind, grabbing left fist with right hand, and then partway through we'll switch. So that's an option if you're looking for more in the shoulders and the neck. If you want less, rest those hands on your lap with the palms up. Or like so. Both are very nice. Now bring the spine nice and tall. Bring your right ear to your right shoulder. Left ear to left shoulder. Coming back to center. Lift your chin looking up, only lifting as much as feels good. If there's any pain, backing off. Make a few circles with your lower jaw. Change direction. And then stop with the circles. Tuck the chin slowly, gradually toward the chest, lifting the chest up towards the chin. Relax shoulders. Good, now looking straight forward. If you've got your hands behind you, switch the grip so you're holding the opposite fist with the opposite hand. Otherwise, hands resting in front of you. Once more, right ear to right shoulder. Only going as far as your neck wants you to. If it feels like too much, it probably is. It's always better to err on the side of caution and slowly increase your range of motion. We never want to go too quick. Left ear to left shoulder. Yoga has the most benefit when done frequently, ideally on a daily basis. But even 5 minutes, a few times a week, can have a great benefit. Back to center. Now lifting the chin again. Again, don't lift too much. You decide how much, not letting your head drop all the way back, but lifting slightly. If there's any pressure in the back of the neck, you know you should not lift your chin quite that high yet. Try to relax your forehead, and this time we're going to see if we can take the bottom jaw from side to side. And then when those sides are even, slowly tucking the chin toward your chest lifting, abdomen lifting, pressing into your feet. Good, now looking straight forward. Release your hands, let your hands rest. Good. Now from here, we're going to do an exercise for the fingers. I'm going to face the right palm up and the left palm down. I'm actually going to come a little closer so you can see it more easily. Just imagine I'm still in a chair. Then you're going to grab the little fingers, the ring fingers, the middle fingers, and then take thumb and index to touch, twisting right hand left, left hand right. Okay? Fingers are squeezing and you're pulling the wrists apart. If you feel too much, you can add the middle finger to the thumb, right? That's perfectly fine too. It might be too intense, especially if you're male, the hands might be quite strong, right? They might not be quite as flexible yet. Anywho, squeezing the legs together, squeezing those forearms, lengthening the spine. See if you can close your eyes or fix the gaze. Good, and then releasing the fingers and extending the wrists, spreading and squeezing a few times. Good. And then again, I'll give you a closer visual for this one. Left palm up, right palm down, grab little fingers, ring fingers, middle fingers maybe, and then thumb and index touch to create a circle. And then you're trying to create a bind like this so you can pull the wrists apart and squeeze the forearms. Lengthening, squeezing, no tension in your neck or jaw. Maybe you lift your toes. Close your eyes if you can. Concentrate on your breathing. Good, now slowly release the fingers, extending the arms, squeeze the fingers into fists, spread them wide. Just a few times. Good. Resting the hands. From here, we're going to come into a twist. So you have a few options. You can have your feet together. You can have right ankle on top of left, squeezing the legs. You can either have the edges of the foot on the floor or work the soles of the feet to the floor, which is more intense. Or you can cross the right leg on top of the left leg. If you choose this option, you should not have any pain in your knees. Same with the ankle crossing. Otherwise, have both feet on the floor. One is not better than the other. They just look different. You're going to get benefit either way. That's the beauty of it. Left hand to your right knee, right hand coming to the side of the chair or to the back of the chair, lengthening and twisting towards your right, looking over that right shoulder eventually. If you need more, you can bring the back of the left hand to your leg and the back of your right hand to your lower back or to your waist, looking to the right side. And I'll just give you a side view of that too, so you can see what I'm up to there. Maybe the legs are crossed, maybe the ankles are crossed. Right hand is beside or behind. If you want to tuck the back of the hand to the lower back, you can. If you want to tuck the back of the hand here, you can. But you're still looking over the right shoulder, either way. Let's see if we can take 10 more breaths, concentrating on your breathing. Coming forward nice and slow if you haven't yet. If the legs or the ankles are crossed, uncross and switch. So it'll be left ankle on top or left knee on top, whichever suits your body. Again, it doesn't matter which one you choose. They're both going to provide a benefit. And you could always have both feet on the floor or have a block between your thighs or work with the legs together too. All of these are going to work. Right hand on your left knee, left hand behind you on the base of that chair or on the edge of the chair too. These are both good options. If you're feeling your shoulders a lot or your back a lot, not going quite as far would be fabulous. All right, so when you're ready, you're lengthening, you're twisting. And the last thing that we turn is the gaze. The head turns last. If we need more, we can place the back of the hand at the thigh. We can place the back of the hand, left hand at the lower back, or work around a little bit to the waist, depending on the length of your arms and all that, right? Keep your gaze behind you. Concentrate on your breathing. If your mind wanders, bringing it back to every single exhalation. Very slowly coming forward, unwinding the head and the spine, uncrossing the legs if they're crossed. Next, we're going to take our feet as wide as our hips, and if we want more in the hamstring, in the back of the thigh, then we can inch our feet away from us a little bit, right? You can lift up your toes if you like, or have the toes on the floor. You can straighten the legs completely if it feels good, but if you do this option, you want to lift your knees slightly, right? As though you were trying to bend them just a tiny bit, maybe 5 to 10%. Lengthen the spine, and then slide your hands to the thigh. And you can stay here, this might be fabulous. You could go hands on hips. This is a really nice version that's more of a stretch for the chest and the shoulders. If it feels quite nice and you'd like more, you can incrementally take your hands toward the shin, the ankle, and so on. If you're on hardwood floor, this is one where you want to be cautious because it's possible that your chair will start to slide a little bit backwards as you bring your center of gravity more forward. So, or your weight more forward. So in this case, just be slow and mindful as you come forward. And if you start to feel you're slipping at all chair-wise, then come back up and put something grippy underneath your chair. You can always, if you have a yoga mat handy, you can use that or a firm blanket, something like that. Let's take 5 more breaths. And when you're ready to, you'll come up very slowly, very gradually, never rushing, sliding the feet towards you, one at a time. We're going to go for one more stretch here, and you have a few options. You can go with feet apart, knees bent. You can go legs together. You can cross right ankle on top. You can cross right knee on top. Or if your knees are pretty happy and you're wanting more stretch in that outer hip, and there's no pain in your knee, you can slide the ankle to the knee. So this is the last option. This one's the most intense on the knee joint though. So it's only an option if you can flex your foot and there's absolutely no pain. No matter which you choose, and I'll run through them all, you're gonna lengthen and come a bit forward. Either hands rest on knees or maybe elbows on knees. If it felt really good, you could even reach forward toward the ground, but that's pretty intense stuff. So chances are good this will be more than enough for today. Now, if you're looking at the version where the legs are tightly crossed, you can have your hands on your knees, you can fold a little forward at a time. Maybe even walk your fingers toward your ankles. If you're going for feet together, you can slide forward a little more, depending on how it feels. Maybe clasp your ankles, maybe let your head hang a little. If you're going feet apart, same concept, lengthening, coming a bit forward, maybe hands to shins, maybe to ankles, maybe to toes. If you were looking for more stretching, you could touch your feet. You could even hook your first 2 fingers and your thumb around that big toe. And that's one heck of a toe stretch. If you push your toes to the floor and try to pull your toes away from the floor at the same time, it's fabulous. And in this case, your feet can be closer together, arms on outside, or you could even have your legs slightly further apart, arms on inside. Both would be okay, depending on what felt good. And you can always experiment, right? Your body's a bit of a laboratory. You're the scientist. We'll just run a few experiments until we figure out what works. Let's take 5 more breaths, whichever you've chosen. And when you're ready to, you're gonna come up very slowly, using your core muscles, using your hands, using your legs. And then if your legs are apart, bring them closer together. Now we're going to repeat that one more time. Either legs together, legs apart, left ankle on top, left knee on top, or ankle to knee. All of these are nice options. Choose what feels right for you, okay? Lengthening the spine and coming forward, maybe here, maybe here. Don't need to add your hands, just an option. Or here, here, or here. You've always got options, no matter where you're at, right? And it's up to you how far you go forward to, never forcing your body. If you work a little bit at a time, over a few weeks, months, your body will change more than you think. And it'll be more pleasant to live in it. All right, when you're ready to, you're gonna come up super slow, use your hands, use your feet, use your abdomen, and come up all the way. Once you're there, walk your feet together or a short distance apart and relax. And let's finish with a group Om. If you're into it, great. If you want to take a few deep breaths, that's wonderful too. Hands touching, deep breath in. Om. Thank you so much for sharing your yoga. Namaste. And if you have questions at all, send me an email or leave a comment. I'm happy to answer them as best I can. Have a great day.